Glutes are an important muscle group that helps support your pelvic floor. So if you're having some pelvic floor dysfunction and somebody has recommended that you strengthen your pelvic floor, working your glutes is a must. I'm going to go over 3 exercises today that help strengthen your glutes and will show both beginner's levels and a more advanced level of the exercise. So these exercises are tried and true for glute strength. The first one is a squat. I like to squat on a bench because it gives me something to come down to and a tangible awareness of my glutes as I stand up and contract my glutes, and as I sit down to lengthen the muscles of the back of the legs and the glutes. So as we stand up, we're going to hold the hands right at the heart, and we're going to exhale and squeeze the glutes to lift us up. And at the very top of the exercise, I give it an even extra kind of squeeze. And then I inhale to lower and lengthen. Exhale. Now you don't have to go fast, but I like to go at a nice tempo, but enough that the form and technique of the exercise is not being compromised. So a squat that focuses on the glutes is going to bring you down to just above 90 degrees. And then as you begin the up, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze those glutes all the way at the end, and I give them a little bit of an extra squeeze at the top. Now, to make this a little more challenging, we're gonna grab a free weight, and I like to hold that free weight right in front of my nipple line, right at my bra area there. And as I come down, I inhale to lengthen, exhale, squeeze up. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, squeeze. Good. Now, if this is a newer exercise to you and you're feeling like you do not feel your glutes begin to contract or squeeze as you lift up, and even that little extra bit at the end, you can try stabilizing your pelvic girdle by putting a yoga block right in between your legs and squeezing it as you come up. That should hopefully help give you a little bit of awareness of those glute muscles as you contract them on the exhale and lift. All right, that was great. That's exercise number 1. Exercise number 2, another tried and true, a hip thrust. So with our hip thrusts, we're going to find a bench or a chair or something firm and bring our back to it. So we feel the bottom of our shoulder blades, and the very bottom of your shoulder blade up is going to be right off the bench. So as you come down, we lengthen once again. Our bum is not touching the floor, but as we lift up, we're going to drive through the glutes. So really imagine that you're squeezing as you lift up. Your bottom comes parallel to the ground. My legs are at a 90, so I find that squeeze, and I feel it not only in the glutes but in the top of my hamstrings. And play with the footing a little. Maybe you need to take your feet a little wider to really feel that engagement or that squeeze or contraction at the top of this exercise. Inhale, lengthen and lower. Feel those muscles stretch and lengthen out, and then feel them squeeze and contract as you lift up. Power up with your pubic bone. And here's another tip that I find really helpful. We want to not flare our ribs out, so we're not like back bending over this. We're keeping our body up, right? And imagine that you're keeping your ribs down and you're tucking your tail under. So you're bringing your pubic bone toward your nose, and you're shortening the space between the bottom of your ribs and your hip bones. So hands can go right here. Gaze stays forward. Drive that pubic bone up and toward your nose. To make it a little more challenging, we take that free weight, we place it on our pubic bone. If you need to, take a rolled towel and put it here so you have a little cushion support. Again, don't flare those ribs. Keep that space between the ribs and the hip bones shortened. Squeeze as you lift and contract those muscles. Very good. And remember, technique and form over number of reps. So last but not least is one of my favorites, a hip hinge that's going to work the top of the hamstring and the glute. And with this hip hinge, we're going to take ourselves into a little bit of a staggered stance. And my left leg is my forward leg in this particular exercise. I'm just going to come up on the ball of my right foot, which is my back foot. I'm going to keep a nice long back, hinge at the hips, and slowly come down to about my mid-calf region. And then exhale, squeeze my glute as I rise up. Inhale to lower and lengthen. Exhale, rise up. And you might find that you don't need to come all the way up. I stop just about here. So if I were to straighten up, it'd be maybe 10 or 15 more degrees. So if I were hip hinging already at about 10 degrees forward, I come almost to a full 90-degree angle, and then I come back up to about 10. So if we're talking degrees, there's about an 80-degree range of motion here. Inhale to lengthen, exhale to rise up. Now I suggest for everyone that you try this weighted, and you're going to hold that weight in the forward hand or the arm that is with your forward leg. So in that case for me, it's left. I squeeze up, inhale down, and you want to keep your weight as close to your leg as possible. You can do this with a kettlebell, and that's really going to work those glutes, the tops of the hamstrings. And again, remember to focus on your form and your function and the technique of the exercise over just banging out fast and furious reps, because we really want to focus on the contraction of the muscles that we're trying to work. All right, so that was three of my favorite glute exercises that also help to support the health of our pelvic floor and keep it functioning well throughout our life. My name is Jessica, Mama Shakti Prenatal. Mama Shakti means Mama Power.